What we're here for today is the hot off the press brand new thing, which is our collaboration with Queen Bee Coaching, and that is free coaching for LGBT women in Greater Manchester. This is something that I've done myself, not the LGBT version because Pride in Leadership weren't involved, but I got myself involved with Queen Bee Coaching. Um, Around last January time. It was actually through Pride in Leadership. I was having a bit of a block on writing the report that I've just mentioned to you, which is about the barriers to career progression. So I'd surveyed over 1,000 people across the country and I had all of these responses. And I was just a little bit nervous, a bit anxious, really, about how do I represent 1,000 people's views, not just numerically, which isn't my sort of natural skill anyway, but also how do I pull out all the comments? How do I make sure that we're conveying, if you like, some? And I just found this a massive pressure, and so I went to Queen Bee and I got my coaching, and I found that it really, really helped just to unlock. Um, Whatever that was, whatever was blocking me, whatever imposter syndrome or whatever you might call it. And I found that the coaching was amazing for that. I'm really proud of that report, but I also um, I I align it to the work that I did with Queen Bee through the coaching. So it's something that I can't recommend highly enough. So I'm so pleased that you're interested in it. I know that Sue has said that she's had more applications for this than anything else that you've done sort of to promote this, haven't you, Sue?
Yeah,
So that's my introduction. This session today is about what is coaching, how will this program look, the application process, all of that kind of stuff. Sue, we've got some slides to show you. I want to introduce you first to Sue, who's running Queen Bee, and Rachel Garner we've got here as well, who's one of the coaches. We've got Hazel, who's another coach. So we're just going to introduce you to everyone so you can see all our faces, and then we've got some slides as well. Sue, would you like to? Oh, sorry. Before we do that, um, I just want to bring in Laura from the LGBT Foundation. Laura, could you just come in and talk to us about why you think coaching is important, but also that we create this space for LGBT women as well?
yeah, thanks, Claire. Hi, everyone. For those of you that haven't met, my name's Laura Wilkinson. I use she and her pronouns. I'm Managing Director of LGBT Foundation. We're a national health and wellbeing charity based in Manchester, supporting over 50,000 LGBTQ people every year to live their best queer lives. And our work is really grounded in community, whether that's through our helpline, wellbeing services, or creating spaces where people can feel seen and supported. That's really what I want to talk about briefly today, is that the importance of that space and community and lifting each other up. So back in April for Lesbian Visibility Week, Claire and I curated a panel event hosted by LGBT Foundation and Pride in Leadership. And we had Amanda Collier off, you might know her off The Traitors. We had Jax Effiong, who's our chair at LGBT Foundation, but also an amazing DEI lead at Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue. And during the kind of like the development of the session and in the session and after, something that's really, really come through was just about in the reality that in 2026, lesbians are still often invisible, right? In leadership, in data, in the media, even within own parts of our community. And we heard in that panel really personal stories about what it takes to navigate that. The resilience that we need, the emotional intelligence, the constant need to read a room. So what really stood out was that tension between kind of visibility and safety. Um, when we talk about being visible as something really positive, it is, but for a lot of people, once that knowledge, it can be a constant calculation as well. When is it safe? When is it worth it? And what might the consequences be? So, alongside that, when we're thinking about kind of lack of space where women can just be, you've got the other side of that, which is how powerful it is to lift each other up, to create those opportunities and to increase that representation. So I just want to come today to kind of endorse this program and just kind of loop it into that wider network of work. And obviously, as well, Claire mentioned, she's got that brilliant lunch in September as well. So we kind of feel like we're on the journey of a collaboration about bringing people together, creating that community, and we'd love you yeah, to come on that journey with us. So yeah, thanks for looping me in there, Claire.
Thank you. Sue, would you take over, please, and tell everybody what you're all about?
Okay, thanks ever so much, Claire. And yes, I'm one of the individuals who volunteers to help Queen Bee Coaching become across Greater Manchester a powerful way of promoting women's leadership capacity. That's what we believe in. We believe that every woman should have a voice and the power to lead. So I'm just going to ask Matt if he can stick up the presentation for me, and I'll take you through this, and then Rachel's going to kind of pop in and tell you a little bit from a coach perspective, and Hazel might want to say something there as well. So we'll take you through. Please feel free to ask any questions as we're going through the presentation, but we'll definitely make sure there's space for you to have any sort of things that you want to check out as we're finishing off. So just that's it. Okay, so yeah, welcome to Queen Bee Coaching. We're a women's organisation, a feminist organisation. We started our life being linked up to the Pankhurst Trust, but since then we have become independent, and very, very recently at the beginning in the spring, we got our charity commission status as a charitable organisation. Thanks, Matt. Move on then. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Queen Bee and lots of things that you already know in terms of what are the barriers that face women generally, and you'll know more about the barriers that face you as a gay woman. Okay, Matt. So that's our mission from an organisational perspective. We are an entirely volunteer-run organisation, so we don't have any paid members of staff at all. We'd love to have some more money to do something like that, but we haven't got there yet. We've just got our charity status, and that's going to help us on that road. So we are particularly interested in supporting women from diverse backgrounds and experiences to overcome barriers. We know there are lots of barriers that women experience anyway, but we want Greater Manchester to have more visible women's leadership. Thanks, Matt. And in particular, we're rooted in that feminist, volunteer-led organisational basis. So since 2018, which was when we were founded, we have a whole group of volunteer coaches who provide the coaching for our clients or our coachees. And we've had over 200 women from a huge variety of backgrounds, starting originally from women who've been in senior positions across Greater Manchester and other places. And often now we have women who are offering coaching maybe on a professional basis, and see Queen Bee Coaching and their chance to sort of provide free coaching as a way of giving back. We've had over 350 women who have applied to us and accessed coaching. And we want to expand constantly women's access to leadership. Okay, Matt. So yeah, this is what we think we do, hopefully best. And as Claire said, coaching we think is transformative. It can be absolutely, a powerful and astonishing set of conversations for those who are being coached, and we're hoping that will make a difference across Greater Manchester. Leadership is not a single thing. It's something that you will find in all sorts of ways in your life. So it's not just senior women that we are interested in. It's women who may be doing things in their community, who may be leading stuff in their family or their local arrangements, schools, whatever it is. And I've already seen from the expressions of interest, because I've seen all of the emails that people have sent into Queen Bee, that there are a lot of women, a lot of gay women, who are actually leading on DEI sort of initiatives in the workplace, trying to make the kind of impact that you want to make through Pride in Leadership. So we're really pleased that this is a group of women who want to tap into the coaching that's available. Thanks, Matt. So you'll know some of this stuff, but this is what drives us. Leadership roles not held by women in proportion to the population. Female leadership drops at every level of the career ladder. That's not a surprise, really. And if you have a bachelor degree, it doesn't see a lot of difference in leadership representation. And in the UK, women are 50% more likely to be paid under the minimum living wage, and leadership roles from those sort of backgrounds are not well represented. So we are very pleased to welcome women who are from protected characteristics in particular, because that's where we want to make most impact. Thanks, Matt. So we did a survey in 2023. We were applying for some money, so it's always good to get feedback and present that in your application. And we sent a questionnaire out to 140 of our former clients. And this is the kind of feedback that we got from them. These are the questions we asked from them. So you can see there's pretty high proportions there of responses from women who've been coached in terms of being able to make progress with their goals, being more confident, helping them to develop, looking at, progressing their career, and making them more aware of resources. Now, since we've done this survey in 2023, we've tried very hard to improve the offer to people who get coaching. So we've got more kind of support around those who do are receiving coaching, or who leave us when they've finished their coaching. So I'll touch on that a little bit later on, but just to say that we do have about quarterly events called Queen Bee Connect, which all of our ex-clients and all clients, coaches and volunteers are and anybody else who's interested in Queen Bee are invited to. So there are opportunities to kind of network a little bit more than perhaps there was originally with Queen Bee. Thanks, Matt. So who's a leader? Well, a leader, a female leader, can be a leader from anywhere and anything. But here are some of the examples that we have identified in terms of leaders. And I'm not going to go through them in particular, but I think what I hope is Risha on the left-hand side there is the woman who set up Coffee for Craig, if anybody's heard of that. And she was one of our clients very, very early on. She Leads for Legacy is one of our partner organisations. And again, we collaborate with them with Black women and a couple of LGBTQ plus leaders there, in terms of people who are out there standing up for women and creating waves, we hope, in the life of women and others. Thanks very much, Matt. So what is coaching? I don't know if any of you have had any coaching or know what coaching is. And there is a distinct difference between coaching, mentoring, and counselling or therapy. So coaching is very, very much focused on the client or the coachee being able to give their best. And I don't know whether, Claire, this resonates with you in terms of your experience of coaching, but it's all about how do you want to do things? What is it that you want to explore? And helping you to kind of find the answers from yourself. And I don't want to get in the way of what Rachel's going to say, but put simply, what we say is coaching gets you from where you are now to where you want to be, a bit faster than you could do it on your own, and maybe with a few more options. And I think women in particular do find that they end up kind of taking the time to look after others before they look after themselves. So this is a real opportunity for women to get a bit of space for themselves, a bit of time and a bit of headspace to kind of think about what your goals are, what you want to do, and how do we kind of work through with you as a coach what your challenges are. Thanks. Next slide then, Matt. So this is some examples of what sorts of ranges it can look at, what sorts of things it can look at. your confidence, self-doubt, imposter syndrome is kind of a big one for women, navigating workplace challenges, and obviously people do want to think about their careers and where their careers go in terms of their sort of ways and directions and choices that they might make. We often find that women who come to us are kind of at a bit of a crossroads and may not be even sure what it is that they want to do next. Thinking about your leadership skills and your presence in front of others, thinking about kind of clarity on your next steps, and the coaching that we provide. If you were out there going to buy that from somebody who's doing that on a professional basis, we think it would probably be worth up to around about £1,000 in terms of the value of the coaching experience. So next slide, I'm going to hand over to Rachel, and maybe Matt, if we take the presentation off at this stage and come back to it when Rachel's done her bit. So over to you, Rachel, and Hazel, I'll bring you in a little bit afterwards if there's anything that you want to add in, and tell our audience a little bit about what it's like being in Queen Bee as a coach.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sue. And thanks, Claire and Sue, for kind of collaborating. When I saw the email and there was a WhatsApp call out, I was like, this is, it was music and a delight to my eyes and ears. So I'm Rachel Garner. I am Head of Sustainability Strategy and Comms at Vision Linens, a textiles company in Greater Manchester. So in terms of the story that I'm going to sort of talk a little bit about today, it's the journey of both being a coachee and a coach with Queen Bee, which I think is quite a nice sort of full circle story to tell. I got involved in Queen Bee back in 2019, where I was working at the Co-op, which I actually had the joy of working with Hazel as well for a period of time. So I was at the Co-op, starting a new career in a really big corporate, and I think I'd seen something about Queen Bee and I got to sign up to benefit from some of that coaching, which at the time it was navigating a larger company. I was feeling a bit of sense of imposter, like getting this new bigger role, working in a really large corporate. And I distinctly remember at the time I had 6 sessions with a lady who'd actually, I think she'd worked more as a sort of youth service worker. So she wasn't the sort of typical person that I would have interacted day to day with in my life, but her lived experience brought a really sort of supportive angle. And I think that's one of the things that's quite nice, is you get matched with people who genuinely have a real great passion and skill set for wanting to help make a difference. So I think, as Sue said, because it's volunteer led, I think you're naturally getting people with a propensity to want to show up and listen and make a difference in the world, which I think that in itself makes it feel like it's a really supportive space. It's very well intentioned. And the reflection activities that I did over 6 sessions with my coach definitely gave me some different perspectives of things to think about. I call it constructive challenge, because I think sometimes we can all have different perspectives or have lenses with which we've experienced or been brought up with, or skills that we've maybe come to lean on that we might not necessarily have that awareness of. So the way that I sort of talk about it is a coach is a little bit like a thinking partner, that they're there to kind of hold space to help you to see or perceive things maybe slightly differently. I then went on during my time at the Co-op to get to be part of Co-op's coaching program, where they invested quite a significant amount of money to raise the level of kind of capability in the organisation. And I feel like in the spirit of that sort of cooperative nature, having received that training, I was like, well, this is fantastic. I can now sign up to become a coach and kind of give that back to the community and use those skills for good. And I think then the approach of then becoming a coach is sort of, as Sue said, it's creating and holding a space for people to work through whatever they feel is important to them. But at the same token, as you go through that experience of the coaching, there might be other things that actually come to light through those discussions where you might not initially think that might have been a challenge, or something that could be kind of causing you a barrier or obstacle to what you're wanting to achieve for yourself. And I think that's what can be quite beautiful, is maybe what you start with and what you might think is your initial challenge might maybe evolve and change through the sessions as you're building that confidence and understanding. And I think there's a lot of work that goes in upfront around, it's called contracting. So making sure that you're sort of setting those kind of parameters and understanding of, you know, everyone's different. So, you know, if thinking about intersectional characteristics, neurodivergence, do people prefer in person, online? What's your sort of work-life arrangements? Because obviously 2 people have got to find a kind of rhythm and a way of connecting that works for both parties. So I think then from that perspective, there's a lot about helping to build your confidence with sort of things like self-advocacy, thinking as well about sort of, I think Sue mentioned imposter syndrome, and I think that's something through my own experience of then being a coach. Obviously, the coachee gets the benefit, but sometimes holding space for other people is equally really beneficial. So I think that's something to be said, that in time, there's benefits to both parties. And I think that for me, my own experience of coaching since 2019 led me down the path of my own sort of self-acceptance of recognizing that I was a gay woman. And I feel like the opportunity now to actually be a late blooming lesbian and get to give back a second time round to Queen Bee as an openly gay woman and give my time and skills to help other women, whether they're already out, or I think there's a lot of people that how you're navigating even coming out in the workplace. That's something that I'm actually actively navigating at the moment in terms of talking about that. And I think that's a whole other layer to this around being seen and wanting to be your authentic self in the workspace, and where there can be barriers and challenges to that. So it's a very resonant topic for myself, and I think something that isn't fully talked about as well. So again, there's a lot of holding space for people navigating multiple layers of their identity, both in and outside of the workplace, and what they want for themselves, what they can see for themselves. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this initiative and be able to show up and be part of making the community stronger and better, and having more lesbian leadership, please, everybody.
Great.
Yeah,
that is wonderful, Rachel. Thank you ever so much. And as you say, it's a lovely rounded story in terms of getting coaching from Queen Bee and then becoming one of our coaches, which is absolutely fantastic. And congratulations on coming out, and good luck for your journey ahead. Hazel, do you want to tell us a little bit about your coach experience with Queen Bee?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So, hi everyone. I'm Hazel Ramika. I use she, her pronouns. So I'm the Academy's business partner for the co-op, and I've worked there for quite a long time. So I do know Rachel and Claire, who both have a history at the co-op as well. So I'm really lucky to work for an organisation that recognises the power of coaching. And I think, like Rachel, when I saw that this was being promoted, seeing the collaboration between Pride and Leadership and Queen Bee, it was really important for me to put myself forward as a coach. So in terms of my experience, I've been coaching now for about 2 years. So I've been volunteering for Queen Bee, and it's been really transformational for myself as well. Like what you said, Rachel, it's that whole point where I think that we don't necessarily see women in leadership roles in the same numbers. But then when you start to look at the number of lesbians in leadership roles and lesbian, bisexual, transgender women in leadership roles, that's not something that you tend to see within organisations. So I think the role of what we're doing now, this programme, the importance of it being visible, and actually, interestingly, I was also on a lesbian visibility panel and having that discussion where we talked about the difficulty that we have using the word lesbian, and said we will take it away and use it more and own it. And I think that it's really important that within the coaches that are available, that some identify as LGBTQ, queer, whatever it is in terms of your identity, but actually you don't need to be. I think the whole point around holding space, feeling safe, and knowing that actually your experiences and what you're going through, to have somebody that is there to kind of take you on that journey and that transformation is really powerful. And coaching is something that we're becoming more aware of in terms of how we can use it to help people go from, as you say, Sue, one place to another. And that transformation can be quite small. It can be really big. It can be that you think it's going to happen in your work life, and actually it transcends throughout your life. So I'm really happy to be supporting the programme, and just wanted to kind of be here today to talk about the kind of importance of coaching and the role that it can play.
Fabulous. Thanks ever so much, Hazel. And absolutely lovely to hear the kind of commitment from both you and Rachel to this collaboration. It's really, really powerful. Okay, Matt, presentation back up again. Just to make it clear then what it is that we're offering. And one of the things we do ask on our application form is whether you would prefer somebody from a similar background to yourself or not. We can't promise that we will always match you up, but we will try if you specifically would like somebody who is a lesbian as your partner for the coaching. So what's our offer? Well, we offer up to 6 free sessions of coaching It is confidential, as was mentioned by Rachel. We do have a contracting approach to things, so we do make sure that at the very beginning of the relationship, you do sit down with your coach. You make sure that you actually are happy to carry on working with each other, because you can meet up with somebody and feel that that's not the right person for you. They can coach can meet up with somebody and feel the client's not the right person for them. So please do tell us if immediately you're not comfortable with each other. That's the most important thing. And we do, as I say, offer some more support now to our coachees and our clients. So even after the sessions, but while you are with us and afterwards, we have a WhatsApp group for our clients, and we have a newsletter, and then we have those quarterly Queen Bee Connect events, which I'd mentioned, and we have our next one coming up. I think it's on the 2nd of July. So if anybody's wants to get an invite to that, it's on Eventbrite, I think, but also I can let you have the link for it. We do have volunteer opportunities with Queen Bee, so I wouldn't want to pass the chance of saying if any of you are interested in actually being part of Queen Bee and volunteering as part of our group of volunteers to support recruitment or marketing, or our EDI group, or whatever. There's a range of small groups that are open to people to join in with. And with Pride in Leadership, we wanted to be clear about who the service is open to. So that's our joint kind of statement about making sure that everybody understands that you are all welcome, and we will find a place for you in Queen Bee, which we hope will be really transformative, as I said earlier on. Next slide, please. So what we ask you to do is we ask you to complete an online application form. There's a QR code right at the end of this presentation, or there's a web link, and you will need to spend probably 15 or 20 minutes to fill in the application. We do get a couple of people who say it's a bit long, it takes a bit of a long time, but actually coaching is quite a commitment to make. You are actually going to get into this relationship with your coach. It's important for us to know that you're serious about it. We don't want to match somebody up with a coach and then it all just fizzle out because it's not happening, because people don't get in touch with each other. But somebody will contact you, and they'll have a chat. We'll organise a date, and they'll have a chat with you about your application. And hopefully, if you've got any questions, that's an obvious opportunity to check things out. You get welcome to Queen Bee and then matched up, and then you have your six sessions. And we would advise, but it's not specific, that your sessions are around about monthly. That generally gives you a chance to have that good reflective space with your coach, and then think about or do some of the things that you've reflected on, and then come back and talk to your coach and talk that through again. But if you want it a bit faster, or if you want it a bit slower, that's absolutely fine. We've even had a couple of our clients who've gone on maternity leave kind of halfway through the sessions and come back to picking up the sessions once they're back in work. Next slide, thanks, Matt. But I mean, the critical bit is you get out what you put in. So if you go on to our website, this is the sort of thing you'll see on the left-hand side there. There's a kind of a space for you to join us as a coach if you're interested, or as a client, or if you fancy volunteering with us, or more than one of those things, then you can do that. And there's an example of the coach application introduction there. So we will you'll get a process to go through, and I suppose one of the things to mention here is that we do ask for a reference from somebody for you. It doesn't have to be a work reference. It doesn't have to be somebody who's managing you or your work setting or anything. It can be anybody really who kind of understands a bit about why you're applying for coaching. You can put your mum on there if you want to, but sort of friends, colleagues, and work or volunteering sort of people. It's entirely up to you who you want to put in there. And there's a little section to fill in, and it sends off, or you send off the link to your referee, and we get that back automatically. Okay, Matt, next one. So I'm just saying, if you're a member of the Pride in Leadership community now, you can be a member of the Queen Bee coaching family as well. So all you have to do is apply to us. And the next slide, if Matt puts it up, gives you the QR code. And I'll leave that there for you for a few minutes if you want to use the code. But our website is also there. If you put in Queen Bee Coaching into Google or whatever your search engine is, then you can generally find us quite quickly. And I suppose the only other thing to say is that we are a Greater Manchester organisation. We want to be more representative of Greater Manchester as a whole. And if you're kind of looking at Greater Manchester as a sort of clock, we're not well represented by women from around the sort of north end of Greater Manchester. Thanks, Charlotte. That's lovely. Hope to see your application into Queen Bee soon. If you're around the north end of Greater Manchester, you'd be even more welcome. Or if you know of any women who are interested in being coached, then please send off our details to them. And we will be very, very pleased to see you. So I can see I've got a question there. So I think, Matt, do you want to take the presentation down again for us? And thank you very much for putting in the question there, Vicky. What are the key things LGBTQ plus clients value? Do you know, I don't think I can actually answer that, Vicky, because it doesn't matter to us where our clients come from. They all get an individual, unique, personal service. So I suppose some of the things they might value is we don't come with any preconceived ideas about who our clients are or coaches are. You get out of it what it is that you want to get out of it. So I suppose from an organisational perspective, Rachel and Hazel were talking about the co-op sort of leading on coaching, but that is an organisational coaching arrangement. We're here about people, individuals themselves, so and women in particular. So I think you'll get out of it what you want to get out of it, basically. And I hope your coach will be significant in helping you to do that. Rachel, is there anything you wanted to particularly say?
I think the one thing I was going to add about not being an internal coaching offer is the coach knows nothing about where you're working.
Yeah.
So that objectivity, and I feel like that's one of the things that I spend a lot of time almost like trying to landscape map, like asking questions about, well, who is your manager or your manager's manager, or what are the organizational dynamics? Like, so sometimes that outside perspective can allow questions to be asked that you can have your own, and it can be own sort of organizational biases or ways of being in an organization that there isn't that maybe objective or slightly outside in perspective. So I think that's one thing that I think can be beneficial is sometimes it's a completely blank slate. Like I remember when I was at co-op, I had to coach somebody who was I think he was a head teacher of one of the academy schools. Like I know nothing about what they're doing, but I was asking questions from a very different perspective, and that brought out some insights that wasn't relevant. You almost like kind of cross-pollinating almost, to excuse the kind of slight B reference there, to like ideas that from one industry can relate to another. And I think that's another really beautiful thing you get with Queen Bee is you've got people from all different backgrounds and industries that can sometimes bring a bit of a different perspective than what you might typically get in your own sort of working environment, whatever that is.
Yeah, if I could just add to that as well, the woman who coached me was a straight woman, and I was talking to her about this report that I was writing for Pride in Leadership, everything about Pride in Leadership, all of that kind of stuff, and she loved it. It was a lovely relationship that we built really, really quickly. There was absolutely no barriers about being a queer woman or anything like that. So, yeah, don't worry about that. I think the people that are putting this time into Queen Bee, they're lovely people. So I think those barriers that you might perceive if you were going to try and find a different coach, I think just for the fact that of who they are, I'm sort of not worried about that. Obviously, if you find that there's a problem, then there is a channel to report up, isn't there, Sue?
There is, and myself and another volunteer, do all of the applications and recruitment process. So, we're well in there in terms of understanding who's matched to who, and if there is an issue, then just get back to us. But our coaches, we only take coaches who share the values and beliefs of Queen Bee, which is, we want women to succeed. That's basically what it is. And in some respects, as a straight woman, I want other women to have, I've had I've had a very good career. I've retired from that career now. I want other women to have the same opportunities that I had. And I was a woman starting in management in the 80s. I'm afraid I'm that old. And when there were no men, well, there were no women around. It was a completely male dominated management structure in a local government social care where 95% of the workforce were women, and it just didn't seem right that was the way around it was. And we have come a long way, but still have much more to go. And Queen Bee and all the women who volunteer in it want to see that happen. So I hope that will, reassure you that it's our job to make sure you get the best out of it. Any other thoughts, questions, or just comments? I'm hoping all of you will be good ambassadors for Queen Bee and go and talk to people about what Queen Bee can do. And just to say that we've had I think 12 applicants come in from Pride in Leadership now, so we're working our way through those. If you want to apply, get in there, because we have obviously only got a limited number of coaches, and we want to make sure that we provide coaching to as many women as we possibly can do. So get your application in and we'll follow it up.
You've got 12 applicants, haven't you, Sue? But how many expressions of interest have you had?
We had over 30, about 35, probably heading up towards 40 now, expressions of interest. And I was amazed at, the kind of rush of people who came to us at Queen Bee. I mean, it was wonderful to behold. And, it's so nice to do something like this in a collaborative way and get that kind of response. So yeah, let's keep them coming, basically.
Could I just ask everyone who's here, obviously keep asking questions and stuff, but could you all put your cameras on if you're happy to have your photograph taken? And we'll then use this as a bit of a promotional tool. So in the next couple of seconds. Okay, right, everyone whose camera's on, smile and look your best. Perfect. Carry on with your day.
Thank you.
Okay, right. I think if we've got no more questions and we don't have anything else to add, all I can do is encourage you to make the most of this. This is a lovely collaboration. There's no money involved in this. Everybody's volunteering, and the whole purpose is to try and give opportunities to women, queer women, across Greater Manchester. So it's a really unique collaboration, and I wish you well in it.
Yeah.
Also, do, be part of the Queen Bee community, be part of the Pride in Leadership community, make as much as you can. We're based in Manchester, which means most of our events are in Manchester. People keep saying to me, when are you going to do an event in Norwich or Portsmouth or somewhere else? And I'm like, flipping heck, I can't get down there. So, make the most of our events, the online ones, the in-person ones, come to that lunch that we're doing, get involved with the foundation as well. Just, Manchester's a really special place, and it's especially supportive for LGBT people. So just make the most of that. And thank you all for volunteering for Queen Bee, and thank you all for attending today. And yeah, get your applications in.
Yeah.